assisted speedrun website tazvideos.org and an organizer of many epic speedrunning feats, such as one that famously used coding glitches in the Zelda game Ocarina of Time to rewrite the game's ending. Cecil has become a fixture in the speedrunning world. He's also a creator of TazBot, a robot that connects to the controller ports of video game consoles to reproduce controller inputs so that recorded speedruns can be replayed and verified on original gaming hardware, a spectacle that gamers love so much that live streams featuring the robot have raised $1.5 million in donations to charitable causes, according to Cecil's account.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's more over at this article, and the article is quite long form. It's pretty typical for Wired. But in a nutshell, the Diablo speedrun is so short that apparently they don't believe that it could have been done without something that breaks the rules.
Right, and it doesn't look like they went out of their way to go find this. It looks like as they were working with Diablo, they realized this, and then I think they've been investigating it.
Yeah, Cecil says his suspicions that Mazalewski had broken speedrunning rules were first triggered when he and another speedrunner, Matthew Funkmaster MP Petrov, set out to make a tool-assisted speedrun for Diablo in January. They quickly came to the conclusion they'd never match Mazalewski's 3-minute 12-second time, no matter how much they perfected their run or how lucky they got in the game's randomized dungeon layouts. That led them to assemble a team of investigators who ultimately found out that what they believe is a long list of inconsistencies in the software versions and items, missing frames, and other signs of potential tampering in the video Mazalewski's presented. So no one could get anywhere close. Ta-da! So again, I won't go through the entire thing. It's quite extensive, and we basically spend about 6 minutes per article. But if you want to learn more about this and you want to go down this rabbit hole, I've been down this before, and it's quite fascinating. The lengths to which somebody wants to inject integrity into something. Okay, so the Guinness Book of World Records now basically, you hold your breath with a cloud above you on a Wednesday at 2:45 for the longest amount of time, and you can be in the Guinness Book of World Records. So.
Right, if it's unique enough, you can get in there.
Yeah,
but I think the problem with something like this is if it wasn't legitimate, other people would be in there.
Yep, and so good on them for injecting that integrity. Let's keep moving. The next article is over in Technology Today. Paris Olympics embrace accessibility technology for visually impaired fans. As Paris shines under the global spotlight of the Olympic Games, technological innovations are enabling people with vision impairments to take it in. Raphael Leichter put this article together for TechExplore.com. Each Olympic venue is a mosaic of singular stories, from the athletes to the spectators, even before the Paralympic Games began later this month. Paris 2024 organizers strove to make the Olympics more accessible. Did you know that somebody climbed apparently the Eiffel Tower and they had to shut down something?
Yes, in fact, I think that was in the last 24 hours of articles. I don't know if it's in today's show.
Yeah, it's not in today's show. So for these games, we wanted to carefully listen to the ecosystem of people with disabilities, said Ludivine Munoz, a former Paralympic swimming medalist responsible for integrating accessibility as part of the Paris 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games Organizing Committee. So a standout innovation is the Vision Pad, a tactile tablet designed to add another layer of interaction for those with visual impairments. It features a moving magnetic ball representing the ball in play on a court or a field. Users run their fingers across the tablet to keep track of the movement of the ball. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really neat.
With a whole basketball court at their fingertips, Olympic enthusiast Zoe Thierry described her first experience with the pad at the Bercy arena for the Greece-Germany quarterfinal on Tuesday. This time, we are truly immersed in the action. We can really follow the ball. And along with commentary of who has the ball, I think that kind of merges and creates a level of immersion that a person wouldn't have with a vision impairment, because they'd be able to know exactly where on the field the ball is.
Exactly. I mean, this makes them almost have the same experience as somebody with regular vision.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. A total of 45 tablets are available and can only cover ball games for now. It's being used for basketball, soccer, rugby at the Olympics, and 4 sports at the Paralympics. It would be good if we had it for individual sports too. Yeah, it could be quite interesting. Other new technologies also address visual impairments. One app helps visually impaired people find their seats on trains. Another is the low vision helmet, which allows users to zoom in on athlete or a race or action. Visually impaired individuals wear it on their eyes like a VR headset. It's connected to the venue's broadcast feed, letting users switch between live action and televised coverage, Munoz explains. That's pretty cool too. I want that.
Yeah, this is really neat. I didn't even know these tools were out there.
Yep, that's pretty awesome. So the products were designed by companies including Give Vision, Touch2C, and EasyMob, which partnered with the Paris 2024 organizing committee to introduce the technologies to the Olympic realm. Pretty cool. They say another vital technology for visually impaired people is audio description, which is what I mentioned earlier with that virtual kind of table. The aim is to describe everything happening in the stadium in the smallest details: movement, atmosphere, colors, action, everything. Said Adrian Izard Lecalve. I hope I'm pronouncing Colve, a French audio descriptor. That's a hell of a title. Like, you have to be a real-time writer with extraordinary breadth and depth, you know?
Oh, right. I mean, is it kind of like, closest I can think of is like translation, like
Yeah.
during an event, which I know it's not the same thing, but I'm just trying to think of somebody who's trying to do something like in real time.
Yeah, but where a translator would be translating just the language, they're translating the dimensionality.
Oh, right. That pales, and I think that's probably challenging enough. But yes, this is way beyond that.
That's pretty amazing. At some point, we're going to have artificial intelligence with the like VR headset or augmented reality headset, where depending on where a person is just aiming their head, it can describe. You can push a button and it would describe, you know, this is 5 feet away from you, and it is a chair, and it looks like this, and has round edges, and
right. Or there's a gymnastics match going in front of you, and there's one person on the mat, or whatever.
Yeah, and I can imagine a future where the it's actually embedded in your head, you know, where all of this is synthesized into data that your brain can actually interact with.
Very cyberpunk.
Very cyberpunk, yeah. Let's keep going, though. The article is quite a bit longer, so go and check it out. This next article is over in Technology Today. Everything okay?
Yes, we have an invasion of critters in ohmTown this evening.
Got it. Mapping marathon heat with NASA tech at the Paris Olympics. Over the past century, Paris has warmed significantly, presenting a challenging environment for the 2024 Olympic marathon runners. The course features tough terrain, and we always truncate, so we don't have the entire article.
And fill in the blank.
And extrapolate from incomplete data. So Adam Voiland, NASA Earth Observatory, put this article together. It's published over at scitechdaily.com. So this is the marathon route that they're describing from the start to the finish, which is 2 different places. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is a little odd. It's also neat because it goes by 2 at least historical locations, which I assume you can see from the route.
Yeah, the Arc and the Palace of Versailles. So the course features tough terrain and historical landmarks, while the athletes also face urban heat effects exacerbated by limited green spaces and dense architecture. Innovative satellite imaging has improved monitoring of these conditions, offering crucial data to help mitigate heat-related risks for competitors. And so they described, oh, that's interesting. It actually looks like they followed like what would be the coolest path, except for one area where it's like way hot.
Right. Yeah. Near the Palace of Versailles, right?
Down there.
A little stretch.
There's actually
another stretch too.
Yeah, there's actually 3 at the very start. It's a hot zone. And then the running part is okay until it runs diagonally across like a peninsula of heat. And then you continue down all the way to the Palace of Versailles and Park of Versailles, but you don't even get into that. But it's like a hot spot where they turn around and then they travel all the way back up, but avoid hot spots for the predominant amount of time.
It's very interesting. I wonder if this was planned or this was just observed.
Yeah, like somebody would just put it together because they thought it made the most reasonable path, or the only marathon route.
Right,
available.
And it tracks along the Seine for part of the route, so I'm sure that was probably intentional, but that could be intentional for scenery or for temperature cool. reasons.
Yeah. So the map above, which you'll see if you go either to the article or you watch the video, there won't be, I don't know how to say that. You should really go over to scitechdaily.com and review all of this, because there's always minutia that we kind of skim over. But the map that we're talking about offers a baseline perspective on how the thermal environment along the marathon route varies on a typical summer day. It shows land surface temperatures, or LSTs, observed by the VIIRS, the Visible Infrared Imaging Radiometer Suite, on the NOAA-NASA Suomi NPP satellite at 1:40 p.m. local time on August 6th. A clear day when air temperatures peaked at 82 degrees Fahrenheit or 28 degrees C. Scientists from JPL sharpened the thermal data using machine learning methods and surface reflectance data from the European Space Agency's Sentinel-2 satellite. The technique enhanced the resolution of the data, improving it from 375 meters per pixel to about 20 meters per pixel. Wow. So they were able to drill down quite detailed.
And I wonder, look what the red represents, right? It's a pretty high temperature. So hopefully they weren't actually competing in some of that, like maybe earlier in the day. Because that was done at midday, it looks like.
Yeah, and this was basically was greater than 105 degrees at its peak, and there were many areas that looked like that. And you'd think that there would be more green area, but I guess not.
But it says something about that. They have a lot of zinc roofing, so apparently they're almost worse than other comparable cities.
Oh, really? So, that's actually hotter than their max. Wow. So the zinc roofing, it says, which appears gray, can soar to temperatures of 90 C or 194 degrees Fahrenheit on hot summer days, which is what we're talking about. Wow.
Oh, I didn't even see that there was a separate reference to the zinc roofing, but I see what you mean.
Yeah. It says that it's particularly prone to heating up. And then a couple of paragraphs later, they say that it can soar to 194 on hot days. So this is I thought that this was...
those are the cooler
cool
areas.
So where is the gray? I don't see the gray.
Yeah, I don't see that on there. Maybe there's little pockets of it, yeah.
Pretty wild. Or I should see, but it did say gray. So I thought like red, maybe here.
Maybe like that gray, like some of the gray looking spots in the red zones, perhaps. Yeah. But even that looks like it's more yellow-orange. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to actually discern. Oh, well, that's okay. So limited vegetation and dense development in this part of the city will boost temperatures and add to the heat stress that runners experience, according to Arian Middle. a climatologist at the University of Arizona and co-author of a study that detailed how variation in microclimates affected heat stress for marathon runners during the 2020 Olympic Marathon in Tokyo. So it says tall buildings on either side of the route and some tree-lined streets will offer runners some shade, a major factor in reducing heat load on the human body on a sunny day. Running over grass rather than pavement will not reduce heat load on the body as much as running in the shade. Yeah, because you're being bombarded by
Right.
solar rays. So heat stress on the runner should ease. Some of the course continues through tree-lined boulevards along the Seine for several kilometers and then drop even more as runners pass through the, I don't know how to, Fossis Raposis forest, I suppose. A former royal forest near Versailles. And then likewise again, another forest near Versailles. So pretty cool. Again, there is always some more detail that you can go and pick out from this article. So go check it out. Want to keep moving on?
Yes, I like that they're using technology in the Olympics. I thought this was a unique one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like that. So American gymnast Jordan Childs, I guess, loses bronze medal after a score revision mandated by court, according to the IOC. American gymnast Jordan Childs must return the bronze medal after the sport's highest court rejected an on-floor appeal from Childs' coach that placed her in third, the IOC said on Sunday. So it would reallocate the award to Childs in last Monday's Wednesday floor final to Romanian Ana Barbosu after the Court of Arbitration for Sport voided an appeal made during the week of competition. In its ruling, the CAS said Landy's appeal to have 0.1 added to Child's score was denied, I guess. Miranda Nazaro over at thehill.com put the article together. That's kind of a bummer, man. Not kind of. It is. It's horrible.
I mean, yes, if you think you have, I mean, if it was out of whack, I understand, but it's one thing to go from a medal away from a medal.
Okay, now this is what really sucks. In its ruling Saturday, CAS said Landy's appeal to have 0.1 added to Child's score was outside of the 1-minute window granted by the International Gymnastics Federation, the AP reported. Landy's appeal came 1 minute and 4 seconds after Child's initial score was posted. Child's initially received
Which
a
is
score.
pretty fast, right?
You would think. Childs initially received a score of 13.666, which placed her in fifth before her coach called for an inquiry. You know, at this point, my problem is it used to be seconds, and now we're at point, you know, 3 decimal places away now. And it's like I said previously, that one, there's the last swimming, what was it? 4 laps? No, it was only 2 laps. It was like the 100 meter.
Oh, right. Like in the last century, roughly.
Yeah. Like since modern Olympics started, only 11 seconds have been shaved off of the swim time, for crying out loud. And I'm like, okay, well, now we're at the point where we're adding decimal places so that we can suss out point this. 0.001 can make a difference. I think it's kind of ridiculous. But somebody once said to me that, you know, the purpose, and I mean, it's pretty obvious, the purpose of the Olympics is to push the human condition to, you know, the pinnacle of their blah, blah, blah performance and whatnot. And so I just say, if you really want to push the limits of human performance, allow performance enhancing drugs.
Well, somebody's trying to do that with something
corollary
to the Olympics.
Yep. The Ultra Olympics. I'm sure they'll get sued. I don't think it's called Ultra Olympics. Anyway, the FIG on Saturday said it was up to the IOC, which confirmed Sunday it would respect the federation's decision. USA Gymnastics, in conjunction with the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, issued a statement on the ruling and said the subsequent backlash Childs has faced throughout the process. The inquiry into the difficulty value of Child's floor exercise routine was filed in good faith, and we believed in accordance with FIG rules to ensure accurate scoring. Without the appeal process, Jordan has been subject to consistent, utterly baseless, and extremely hurtful attacks on social media. No athlete should be subject to such treatment. Yeah, I mean, if there is an appeal, basically to review what went down so that the most accurate accounting could be represented, there's no problem there. An appeal is part of the process. So,
Right, but then don't necessarily announce the medal, etc. I mean, especially if it's an appeal filed in like a minute.
well, people are such crap. They're abusing, they're bullying, cyberbullying, and maybe worse, Childs, even though it was the coach that made the appeal, not Childs.
Right.
Yeah,
and I mean, that's not fair.
On top of it, it's part of the process. Maybe the coach said, well, I think Childs actually should have gotten a slightly higher score, which is why the appeal was filed. Let the appeal process play out, but no, people have to be little scumbags and sit there and bully somebody. So Childs, a 2-time Olympian, posted twice on her Instagram story, the first showing black background with 4 heartbreak emojis, followed by a second post that says, I'm taking this time and removing myself from social media for my mental health. Thank you. Yeah, it's because people are horrible. The people that are sit there bullying an Olympian will never be anything close to an Olympian. And so they have to sit there and knock a person down. Why don't you concentrate on yourself?
Meanwhile, well, I was going to say most people spend years training to get to the Olympics, and a lot of people, of course, don't make the cut.
Right. Yeah. And the people that are sitting there cyberbullying somebody or bullying somebody in the real world, for that matter, will never be anything but anti-Olympians. They're the inverted character of Olympians. Horrible people. Anyway, the next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Disney announces Avengers Indiana Jones rides along with villains-themed land. Josh D'Amaro, chairman of Disney Experiences, announced new jaw-dropping experiences and lands at the Disney Experiences show in Anaheim, California, as opposed to Anaheim, Missouri.
I'm sure there is one.
Anaheim, Wyoming, where Disney brings back the Wild West. So Kelly McCarthy and Riley Hoffman from 1849. Put the article together from Good Morning America. It's posted at abcnews.go.com. Robert Downey Jr. will voice Tony Stark for a new Avengers campus ride. They are just
interesting.
Beating this to death. I swear, it's just horrible. The future of Disney parks and experiences took center stage on Saturday at the D23 fan event as Disney Experiences chairman Josh D'Amaro announced a number of forthcoming projects. So Frozen Land in Disneyland Paris, and both an Avatar experience and a Coco ride that are coming to Disneyland or Disney California Adventure Park. We're taking our guests to a whole new location on Pandora. Let's see what else. They talk about the Coco
and
ride.
if the Pandora stuff is anything like the existing Pandora stuff, I mean, those are some of the most spectacular, at least for scenery, rides that they have.
It's pretty big, huh? So next year, Disneyland, a new show called Walt Disney: A Magical Life, will debut at the Main Street Opera House and feature for the first time an audio animatronic of Walt Disney. It will play in rotation with great moments with Mr. Lincoln. That animatronic is apparently just a head in a cryonic suspension chamber, and it'll be his real head. Ooh. Just kidding. I don't know what it'll be a full animatronic, I'm sure. It won't have actually Walt Disney. He's frozen, right? Still in that cryogenic chamber.
Might be.
So Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Disneyland opens November 15th, followed by a Zootopia show at Animal Kingdom and Zootopia Better Zoogather.
I thought you were making Zootopia into a verb.
Yeah, they're doing it. Which is expected to bow in 2025. It's supposed to bow in September? I mean, in winter of 2025? Doesn't that mean end?
It does. I think it's opening shortly, and then it's going to be around for about a year, maybe?
Really?
Or maybe, but even that is confusing because winter 2025 could be this coming winter or it could be next winter.
Weird. So, a Monsters Incorporated land is planned for Disney Hollywood Studios. There will also be a new spaceship Earth Lounge at Epcot, along with a pirate-themed restaurant at Magic Kingdom, both of which are scheduled to open in 2025. So I guess everything is new again. I mean, they're kicking all kinds of stuff up. Epcot's Test Track refurbishment is also expected to reopen that year. Wow. It's amazing. Lots of stuff going on, Walt Disney Imagineers. Okay,
Absolutely.
let's keep going.
If they would just reduce some of the ticket prices,
Oh,
people would be able to go enjoy these things.
don't be ridiculous. That is not how you make billionaires. You must extract all wealth from all pockets all the time. So, YouTuber streams for over 200 hours with no sleep. Man, that is some dangerous stuff to play with. The longest that I've ever stayed awake was just over 72 hours. And I was pretty young. So YouTube personality Norm is attempting to break the record for the longest continuous stream without sleep, aiming to stay awake for over 200 hours. That's very, very dangerous.
It could be very dangerous.
As the YouTube stream progresses, the effects of sleep deprivation are becoming increasingly apparent, with Norm nodding off on camera and showing signs of hallucination. And that is the thing that I would be horrified by witnessing. The article is over at GameRant.com. It's from 16 hours ago, but Rahman Shakat put the article together. The highlights, or the deck statement for their purposes, is that a YouTuber named Norm strives to set the world record by staying awake for over 12 days, showing signs of hallucinations and nodding off. Streamers like Primetime and Norm push their limits with grueling challenges on camera to entertain their audiences. Extreme, I don't entertain anybody, right?
No, I was gonna say these online challenges, I think, are not a good idea. I mean, they're just extremely dangerous, and then plus other people watch it and replicate it.
Yeah, well, and it's happening,
try to replicate it.
So, for instance, Primetime is one, Norm is another. There are others that have done it at lower levels. There are things, they're called sub-marathons, where you stay up and do things as long as people sub. It adds time to your clock. So extreme streaming challenges like sleep deprivation events raise significant health concerns among viewers and stirred debate. But it's part and parcel to the whole, I love to watch a train wreck kind of, look at this dumpster fire, that kind of thing. But hallucinating means that your brain and your optic nerve is interpreting basically rampant misfiring. And so the health element of this really needs to be, you need to consult an expert in the field before you do a stunt like this. 12 days is an extraordinary amount of time to stay awake, at least in my understanding of it. Having gone through 3+ days of basically what amounted to insomnia. I couldn't sleep. And like I said, I was much younger, and I was broaching like hallucination, where you question what you're actually seeing in just 3 days. And I was happy, healthy, and young. So I don't know.
By the way, after 36 hours, you already start running into problems.
Yeah, for sure.
And so obviously this is way beyond that.
Yeah. This is, I think, is like overall health, like cardiovascular health. You're
Right, exactly. Not just like sleep health or whatever. Like 96 plus, you start getting into psychosis,
Yeah.
sleep deprivation psychosis, which I think is exactly what's happening here.
So at present, YouTuber Norm is undertaking a similarly grueling sleep challenge with his ongoing stream titled No Sleeping for 12 Days World Record. Norm, who boasts over 1.2 million subscribers, is primarily known for his rating videos on a diverse range of topics. As of this writing, he has already surpassed the 238-hour mark. What? He's gone over it by 38 hours?
Then maybe he should.
So a bunch of supporters.
Oh, he's trying
monitoring.
to get to 288.
Oh, his goal is to achieve a total of 288, equivalent to 12 days without sleep. Oh, the article kind of just hinted aiming to stay awake for
200, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Which, yeah.
I know. And then you're like, wait a second, he's already over it.
Yeah. So 288 hours is the total, equivalent to 12 days without sleep, putting him roughly 50 hours short of this ambitious target. So he has to stay awake for 2 more days. This is brutal. So phasing in and out of consciousness should probably be grounds for not being.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Like he hasn't been it's a problem for health,
conscious.
But he hasn't been awake. Yeah.
Yeah, micro naps are it's sleeping. You may not actually fall into REM, but micro naps actually exist.
I'm surprised this hasn't gotten shut down, or if something
for the overall health
from this.
Yeah. Right. I mean, other streams have been shut down for other things, so this is tantamount to self-harm. So, but who am I? So let's
take away here: don't participate in these things that are contrary to.
Yeah, be the change you want to see in the world. So let's keep moving. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. What Google rivals want after the DOJ antitrust trial win. Longtime Google rivals like Yelp and DuckDuckGo received a huge victory Monday with a federal judge ruling that it's an illegal monopoly, Google and its search. But their statements on the ruling expressed restraint. That's because the work of restoring competition has just begun and the judge has yet to decide on what will work. So what do people want? Pardon me one second. So Lauren Feiner put this article together for The Verge. The judge found that Google violated U.S. anti-monopoly laws, but the rivals say imposing effective remedies is just as critical. While we are heartened by the decision, a strong remedy is critical, says Yelp CEO Jeremy Stoppelman, who wrote that in a blog post after the ruling, referencing a new trial phase will kick off in September. They passed a key milestone, but there's still a lot of history for to be written, says Camille Bazbaz, Senior Vice President of Public Affairs for DuckDuckGo, and said in a statement, Google will do anything it can to get in the way of progress, which is why we hope to see a robust remedy. That's
hopefully that wasn't an Amazon package being thrown up the up the property. It wasn't. It just made me think of that. You know, when you see them just huck something.
Yeah. Was that outside?
It was a critter.
Oh, okay. Because there is something outside. So anyway, we can't underscore this enough. The implementation details matter, Bazbaz said. In the EU, there are some solutions that are promising, but Google has found it relatively easy to work around their implementations. DuckDuckGo is calling for a group of truly independent technical experts to monitor any remedies imposed by the court to ensure Google doesn't find new ways to give itself preferential treatment. But Google didn't start out this small. This big. They started out small. Now, they were a DoD. This was originally a DoD.
Like a DARPA or similar
grant
project.
Yeah, to catalog basically the world. Equivalent to what Amazon is doing, but it was a government-funded project initially. And even their professor and mentor donated money to spinning off this project from, I can't remember the school. But then it just one thing after another, it was so effective, and with some investing so that it could disperse funds to those who hosted an ad, and they gathered telemetry, and it grew and grew and grew. So DuckDuckGo and everybody else who wants to be in this space has to do the same thing, but you have to reinvent the wheel to make it more beneficial so that people kick Google and DuckDuckGo becomes but DuckDuckGo doesn't do any tracking. They've chosen a path that's different. So the results from DuckDuckGo have to be superior than Google.
Which is going to be tough because Google has been fine-tuning that for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So entry or improvement or better market capture or whatever is going to be extremely challenging. I think the other day on something about this, I compared it to Ticketmaster. I know it's not the same thing, but the point is if you're dominating the market, it's very tough, particularly like worldwide.
Yep.
Who can really break in?
And it's synonymous. I would say that Google, its stranglehold on search, I should say its domination on search results, its ownership of YouTube as part of Alphabet. So Alphabet owns Google, but just like Meta owns Facebook and other properties, these mega corporations are the ones that are controlling everything. Particularly online, you can have your little snippets of individuality. ohmTown, for instance, isn't owned by anybody else. But Reddit is owned by Condé Nast. Twitch is owned by Amazon. You've got these mega corporations that own these properties that are very popular, and they are the ones that are controlling it. But Google is controlling the results. So they can always point to whatever they damn well please.
Including things that benefit their own properties, right?
Correct.
Like
and
a
that
YouTube link or something.
Yeah, and Amazon has done that before too. And on top of that, essentially Google is using its financial might to place itself first and foremost in front of everybody's view, which is identical to what Microsoft did with its browser, and it got slapped. So if your primary search result solution provider is Google because it's paid $1 billion to get in there, then ta-da, that's what you end up with. Because unless you're cognizant, hey, I heard about DuckDuckGo and I prefer it, you're not going to switch because the results are the results. Granted, DuckDuckGo doesn't do certain tracking and it doesn't necessarily provide you the same results, but how do you know what the right results are? So again, you have to trust the search results, and most people go Google it. They don't say DuckDuckGo it, right? So I've used
that's
DuckDuckGo.
when you know you've made it, right?
Yeah. Yep. So I have used DuckDuckGo. I don't really like the way that it lays out the results. I've created a search engine in my past that I thought would contend with Google and others, but it's very, very expensive, and I don't like having partners like that. So I bowed out of it. But the real problem is that Google is using its financial might to control, which is identical to what Microsoft did. So the only way to scuttle Google from using its might would be what DuckDuckGo proposes, which is a court order saying that you can't pre-install Google. You have to make it so it's a choice. So you boot up a browser, any browser, for the first time, and it pops up saying which browser do you want to be your default search results. Or you have like a little option that says load up your default search or browser or whatever. So Yelp Stoppelman says that Google should be required to spin off services that have unfairly benefited from its search monopoly, a straightforward and enforceable remedy to prevent future anti-competitive behavior. And the judge should also prohibit Google from using exclusive default search deals and from self-preferencing its own content in search results. And this is all stuff that gets talked about. Yeah, it's a much more involved article as well. Like most of them, we kind of too long didn't read kind of a thing. But yeah, I have a problem with Google in that I don't like you have to trust the results, and I trust but verify. And what I see isn't necessarily the correct result. It's the result that is most popular, at least in my estimation of it, which is why I built my search engine. Completely different animal that's built around my search engine was built around personality, understanding personality, and verifying the results. So it would actually parse the results from other search engines and compile them, test to see which ones are the top on all of them, and then build a framework of aligned and misaligned results, because I wanted to challenge preconceived notions of what was right. It was complex, and I didn't want to seek out investors or do just that for the rest of my life. The people that start these startups like Google end up doing that for a tremendous part of their life. But hell, they're billionaires and they can do whatever they want now. Anyway, what do Google rivals want? They want equity and equality. They want a level playing field, and Google's financial might and political sway have the ability to be an imposing barrier for entry. And it was one of the reasons why I didn't pursue it. Google was just massive. So, did you want to keep going?
I think so.
So this next article is really fascinating because it's something that I've actually spoken about before, and suddenly it shows up. But
in fact, you were speaking about it very recently.
Yeah, and so smashing idea: how East Germany invented unbreakable drinking glasses. And the problem, at the end of the day, the reason why we don't have unbreakable drinking glasses right now is because you would buy it once and you'd be done.
That's right. I mean, you can't have that, right? You want repeat customers.
Yep.
Maybe we could do subscriptions for your glasses or something. I don't know.
That's right. Yeah. If you want it to be able to handle warm and hot, you have to pay a $9.99 subscription fee per month. I'm sure somebody will figure that out. Oh my God. Can you imagine that? If you don't want the bottom to drop out, you'll pay $14.99.
I'm afraid to even think about that. I feel like it's going to be out there somewhere.
Seems like we're getting there. Yeah. So in the 1990s, a company called Superfast pioneered extra strong glass, but it disappeared with the fall of the Berlin Wall. Now it's making a comeback. The information that I've been told within the last year was that Gorilla Glass actually spawns from this. But I'm going to just jump straight on over to The Guardian. And here is some pictures. Kind of fascinating. This stuff existed because of the Berlin Wall, and East German, I can't remember if it was a general or something like that, what the equivalent of a general, basically was given a paper cup and said, no, this just isn't going to work. And supposedly these unbreakable glasses spawned from that. So this is Superfast East Germany's unbreakable drinking glass, invented in the industry-rich but resource-poor socialist German Democratic Republic. Superfast glasses were designed with the aim of making them last 5 times longer than ordinary drinking glasses, but they were soon found to be 10 times more durable. So if you dropped them, they didn't break. They bounced right back into your hand. So the company that made them went bankrupt after the fall of the Berlin Wall. But as contemporary designers are exploring more eco-friendly and sustainable production methods, the 120 is that $1 million super fast glasses produced between 1980. There were that many? 1980 and 1990? 120.
No, I thought it was like the way they were produced or something, not necessarily the number.
Oh, really?
But maybe that's an awful lot.
Yeah, I didn't think that there were that. It says the 120M super fast glasses produced, so million. Yeah. Maybe. Are in.
And sorry, like in the US, the terminology is written differently.
Yeah, so. It is. So some designers even dream of bringing the technology back behind them back into production. But again, there is a video out there that explains what this German technology was part and parcel to the creation of Gorilla Glass and the history of why this formula disappeared. So in the case of superfast glass, the anonymity of the makers was also politically desired. The GDR's regime preached solidarity and unity. The prevailing ideology... Yeah, never mind. I won't go off. I'm sorry. I started to go off. There's a soapbox here that is getting taller. The prevailing ideology regarded the collective more highly than the talents and abilities of the individual. Right. For everybody else. Except for select few. Kind of like now. Anyway, even though superfast glasses were ubiquitous in every bar, canteen, and household in the Soviet satellite state, few people had heard of Paul Bittner, Fritz Ketchel, and Thilo Peutz, the design collective who gave them their shape. Not a living soul had any idea who actually designed Superfast. And so I won't go through all of this, but it was... let's see, the designer trio were inspired by the equally beautiful so-called Wert glass, which the East German designers Margaret Johnny and Erich Müller created in the early 1970s. And this is not... they talk about the material scientists that they knew that when glass breaks, it's typically due to microscopic cracks in the material surface, which form during production processes. Dramatically increasing the toughness of the glass was possible, they found, by replacing the smaller sodium ions in the glass with electrically charged potassium ions. And this is matching what I watched and heard. Sorry. So, yeah, like I don't want to go through this whole thing because I want to encourage you to go over and read this article. So today,
the glasses are too good for pure market thinking.
Yeah. Basically, these things were so impervious to breakage that they would be bought once and nobody would rebuy. And so the shop goes under. Pardon me. I'm sorry about the cough.
Yeah, that's back to that problem you were mentioning. Like, you need them to keep buying.
Yep. So its founders, Paul Kupfer and George Tarn, have crowdfunded 251,000 euro for a production facility that's partially draws on Superfast's old GDR era ion technology. Compared to plastic, glass is a material that can be recycled almost as often as you like. And I would say not almost, except for some kind of loss in, I don't know where you would get loss. But anyway, it says it's tasteless, transparent, only has one disadvantage, it breaks. But with the superfast glass, that's not true. But there is definitely a video out there that talks about the origin of this unbreakable glass. And if you search YouTube, you'll find it. I find it really fascinating that this stuff exists. So
I do too, and I also find the timing of this article pretty interesting.
How do you mean?
Just because you were talking about it on ohmTown.
Yeah, not only did I talk about this, but I also talk about the fact that I think everybody should move away from plastic. And if the glass is unbreakable, then you have a better chance of doing exactly that. Like, I've got 30 ball jars that store material in it, but what I really want is everybody to do the same thing because it's better for
Right,
you.
and they back away from glass sometimes because of the breakability. But you're right. This takes care of that.
Yeah, and that's just those. I don't use plastic utensils. I don't use plastic plates or even paper plates. I try, and if I were to travel somewhere like camping or something like that, I would be using metal plates, not paper plates or plastic plates. Nothing disposable, and I don't leave anything anywhere. My only problem is convenience. Really, at some point, you have to break down because you can't pack in and pack out, for lunch. Anyway, it becomes difficult. Anyway, the last article for today's non sequitur news for August 11th is 7 upcoming animated movies that could break Inside Out 2's $1 million plus billion box office.
That's going to be challenging. Not too many have.
So, and these are animated movies specifically. So this is over at Screen Rant. Inside Out has dominated the 2024 box office as it's quickly become the highest grossing film of the year and one of the best performing films of all time, as it earned over $1 billion domestically and globally. So the article is over at Screen Rant by Matthew Rudoy. I haven't seen Inside Out 2 yet. But they say here that the record-breaking success proves audiences still love animated stories, setting the stage for upcoming sequels from top studios. I don't think that's ever been the problem. Poor storytelling, and storytelling from a vacuum that has no relevance in anything but comes across like you're supposed to already be on board with whatever it is. That's kind of what the problem is. Moana 2, Zootopia 2, Toy Story 5 are expected to challenge Inside Out 2's. Should have called it More Inside Out.
I think we need some grammar ASMR here.
More Inside Out. The box office dominance with their established fan base and strong franchises, and with exciting releases like Shrek 5, Frozen 3 on the horizon, the animated film industry is poised for more blockbuster hits and nostalgic returns.
Do you notice anything out of the summary?
Not a single one is an original work.
Correct.
Yeah.
I find that fascinating.
It's safe. It basically doubles the amount of revenue because it's going to be the parent that used to be a child who has a child, or multiple generations. Like Toy Story 5 is probably covering 3 different ones now.
Right. That's probably at the grandparent level by now.
Yeah,
depending
exactly.
on who saw it first.
And all of them are going to go together to do a family experience all at once. Same thing with Shrek 5. All of this it's basically rehashing the same characters. So do we still love animated stories? Yeah, because it's the same damn thing. It's the same people.
Right. It's like you know what you're going to get, right? But I also think it's the problem of studios not wanting to take risks.
Right.
Right? They keep doing these mega budget movies. They don't want to do a mega budget movie on something that's never been out there.
Right. Now, here's one of the kickers that we're going to talk about in the continuity report, but I kind of wet the bed there, which is all of these people are going to be going back for another bite at the apple, right? Whatever it is, whatever movie. Except the price has doubled from when these movies originally hit the shelves. So, of course, they're going to have record profits. Or I should say not record profits, but record numbers.
Yeah, but fewer people are going in, substantially fewer. So it's really not telling the story.
Yeah, because it's just a number. It's not actually... Okay, yeah, I get what you're getting at. It's not more people showing up. They're just paying more. Plain and simple. Yeah. I find it fascinating. And I need to find that chart so I can just plop that up here on the screen and y'all can look at it. But it's pretty straightforward. Like over the last 20 years, movie prices have doubled. The number of options have dwindled. basically concentrated down to only a few studios. And now they're doing nothing but, sequel. Anyway, with that in mind, I'm not going to go through this whole thing because that was basically it. That was the summary. But you can get some more out of it. Inside Out 2 is basically knocked it out of the park. Deadpool and Wolverine has knocked it out of the park for hitting over $1 billion for the first R movie ever, apparently. Like, no R movies have hit.
Why is that? They're losing a lot of potential audience, right? Like, 5-year-olds aren't going to horror movies.
Yeah, that's right. So they go through this list of 7 upcoming animated movies. Moana may take over. Zootopia 2 may take over. I wonder what writing they're going to do. Because Zootopia came out of the woodwork. Like, it's an original, right? Moana
and it was really good, right?
Yeah, Moana is trading on like history and cultural relevance. Zootopia came out of the woodwork, nothing. Like, it was a vacuum and just plopped on the scene and went gangbusters. Super Mario Brothers is trading on the historical record of the game. And the first Super Mario Brothers did surprisingly well. Like, everybody that I talked to were like, what the hell is this movie? But apparently they are wrong, and I haven't watched it. Toy Story 5 is basically trading on its historical record, but it came out of a vacuum too, but was nostalgia, because every adult that saw it, every teen that saw it, every child that saw it, saw toys, right? So I can see why it would be.
Oh, I had my toys when I was a kid.
Yeah. Toy Story 4, 1.73 billion. Now, here's the thing. Between 1995, this is the transition. There's fewer people that went to the movie theaters, but they paid through the nose as we progressed into modernity. Shrek 5, trading on its historical record. Frozen 3, trading on its historical record. Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, which is probably a unique one in this because Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, it was a new thing altogether, but trading on the entirety of basically the MCU, right?
Yeah.
And it's canon to the MCU, apparently.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like you're already a Spider-Man fan, potentially.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it had the stereotypical heartwarming story, so... I won't get into all of the minutia of it, but... a son and their dad, and there's a disconnect, and then they bond, and there's this really heartfelt string tugging taking place. So anyway, pretty interesting article. I would go over and read it, and maybe you can suss out some stuff that we missed. And it would be great to talk to you about it here on Twitch or over on YouTube in the message boards over there, like on the comments. Or over on Discord. There is a channel for each of the shows that we hold, that we actually do each week, and the daily one, which is Non Sequitur News. Go over and post a comment. That'd be great. And I keep forgetting that I need to update something on my encoder, but I always get reminded sometime during the show. Non Sequitur. All right, folks. Well, we're going to animate ourselves back to the front page of Non Sequitur News. I'm not going to refresh because I'm perpetually afraid of refreshing our front page. I got to promote a show, by the way.
But we're not in Non Sequitur News.
Yeah, we are. This is the front page.
Oh, yes, we are. It's because the continuity, like there was an article from Continuity Report.
Right.
Got me mixed up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Anyway, that's it, folks. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the Sentient AI's visualizer. That other voice you hear is the Sentient AI that co-hosts all the shows with me. You want to say
Clearly,
hi?
I need a reboot. Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News, and I will let Mayor Watt address what's coming up.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Be sure to follow us so that you get an alert when we go live, and then race over here and go, you know what? You should plan your stuff a little more. I did, I have, but I don't know. We're getting pulled away. Mayoral duties. It's rough. It's rough being mayor, folks. We should hold a special election and vote me off the mayoral mansion. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for August 10th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 223. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the visualizer for the Sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to the August 10th Non Sequitur News.
Today we're going to be talking about Cash App settlement, unsafe ingredients enter U.S. food system, hydrogen-powered aircraft, lead ingots of Rome, Tesla puts brakes on Cybertruck, irony, Marilyn Monroe statue controversy, there's a big question mark there. I'm not sure what that's all about. Cyclists going round and round. There's actually kind of a row up here. I don't know what's going on. We'll talk about it. Chess Cold War action, rocket recovery crane, and an Airbnb host gets hit with a crypto mining bill. That's going to be interesting. All of it's powered by ohmTown.com. I guess it's Saturday, so the mayor is just kind of not wearing a collared shirt or anything. Not sure what's going on. Oh, never mind. Kind of living up to the name, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
So, folks, let's start with the first article. Technology Today, Cash App customers are eligible for a $2,500 settlement. How to submit a claim. The proposed $15 million settlement covers those who've used Cash App in the past 6 years. How does 6 years of people equate to a $2,500 per person settlement?
It's not clear.
When the settlement is $15 million and the law firm probably takes about 60% of that. Clifford Colby over at cnet.com put the article together. The deck statement says what I just said. The proposed $15 million class action settlement covers those who have used Cash App in the past 6 years. I've used Cash App in the past 6 years. Some people will like to get paid by Cash App.
Well, I hope you're getting a settlement.
So the proposed $15 million class action claims Cash App and its parent company, Block, failed to take proper care to prevent unauthorized access to user accounts. In the lawsuit, plaintiffs allege the Block and Cash App were negligent when a former Cash App investing employee accessed account data without permission in 2022, and when an unauthorized user accessed certain Cash App accounts in 2023 using recycled phone numbers that were linked to the accounts. So if you've used it in the past 6 years and your personal information or account was accessed without your consent, or you experienced an unauthorized transfer of funds, you may be eligible to claim a payout up to $2,500. Oh, so the title was a little clickbaity, but so Cash App customers are eligible for up to $2,500, but you have to show that you were harmed probably up to $2,500.
Exactly. So there might be a lot of app users that aren't eligible.
Yeah, because most people, well, I mean, it depends on how much of your account was, because like $25 withdrawals can add up to $2,500, but you got to do 100 of them. Anyway, quite interesting, but yeah, not quite. But if you did use the Cash App, then go and do a application if you got hit by it. But you know, it's weird. Don't you think that those would have been remedied? Like, hey,
you mean like along the way?
Yeah. Over 6 years?
You would think so. Mm-hmm.
Well, since the show has started and you are watching, if you hit !NSN, ohmTown will spit out the articles for today's non sequitur news into the chat, into the VOD. They'll be in the show notes over on YouTube and in the podcast. Yesterday's is already published as a podcast and it's over on YouTube, so go check it out. Anyway, let's keep on moving. Sound good?
Sounds good.
The next article is over in non sequitur news. Unsafe ingredients may enter U.S. food via FDA loophole, scientists warn. Studies show the FDA policies allow companies to self-regulate potentially harmful additives. I don't understand self-regulation.
That's excellent. So low inspection rates and loopholes.
Yeah. So we know that there are low inspection rates, like sub 5%. I'll round to that number. That's almost an arbitrary number that I've picked because the only number that we've really heard, I think, is like 1%. And that has to do with shrimp and seafood. Found it kind of interesting that that's what's going on. And it doesn't seem like anybody knows or cares. And the only one that really benefits from it is bigger business. But apparently, the food in your pantry might not be as safe as you think, according to Shannon McDonough over at Newsweek.com. New research published on Thursday by the American Journal of Public Health has uncovered potential gaps in the regulatory framework of the U.S. FDA, which, when you say exposed or uncovered potential gaps, they're being exploited by somebody. There's no potential. It's
right, exactly.
Yeah. So researchers claim that regulators' approach provides a loophole for food companies to self-determine the state of some substances as generally recognized as safe, or GRAS, without being held to account. Significant distinction exists between food additives, which require FDA, and GRAS substances, which do not. Well, things that we used to think are safe are not safe.
And they even might be unsafe again, or right? They might be safe again, depending on what current research shows.
What the hell it is, yeah. Whoever has been huffing some of these chemicals, apparently. So this includes potentially harmful chemicals like potassium bromate, which is linked to cancer and banned in several countries, but still legal here in the United States. Potassium bromate is banned in Europe, Canada, China, Japan. California is probably one of the most aggressive, along with New York, in this particular sense. So it passed a law to ban its use along with 3 other chemicals, and similar bills have been introduced in Illinois, New York, Pennsylvania. Yeah, I think that it's really smart that that's what they do. I don't think it's good for us. But anyway, both the FDA and the public are unaware of how many of these ingredients, which are not commonly found in ultra-processed food, are in, which they are most commonly found in ultra-processed food. Yeah. Both the FDA and the public are unaware of how many of these ingredients, which are most commonly found in ultra-processed food, are in our food supply.
Most of the public is probably unaware of how to interpret this sentence.
Jennifer Pomeranz, lead study author and associate professor of public health policy and management at New York University, said in a statement that it was maybe confusing if, I don't know, you went to a distillery earlier. But since 1997, the FDA has permitted food industry to independently determine which substances can be considered GRAS, basically generally accepted as safe, even for new and unfamiliar compounds. Hey, we made it this morning. It's generally safe, right? Yeah.
I don't know.
That's why I don't really...
that's a little... There's not really room for error either, right? If it's unsafe and you ingest it, you might not be coming back from that.
Yeah, I don't like generally being used. Generally. Whoops. Sorry about that. 1 second. So the article continues. The consequences of the self-regulation are far-reaching. I agree. I think that we need oversight. A lot of businesses don't agree, but I hate to break it to you, your profits shouldn't matter when health and the general safety of the public, which you are feeding food to, is at risk, because while everybody else suffers and largely people are harmed before the gross body of people find out that people are being harmed. So, no. Some of your profits should be spent on regulation because everybody should be safe from your food. If they have allergies or something like that, then I understand that. But it's incumbent on them to go, like, for instance, I know somebody that is allergic to a food coloring, or I know somebody that's allergic to peanuts. They've become aware of it and they go out of their way to avoid those things because they are aware of it. But if it's a self-regulated grass formulation, nobody the hell knows what's in it.
Exactly.
And abuse happens in the dark.
If you wouldn't want yourself or your family eating something and you work at one of these companies, you might want to do something about that.
So in 2010, the U.S. Government Accountability Office recommended that regulators strengthen its oversight of grass substances, particularly by requiring companies to submit basic information about these substances and minimizing conflicts of interest in their determinations. Although promising, these recommendations were not fully implemented in the FDA's final grass rule. The study's authors propose several policy recommendations requiring companies to notify the FDA of grass determinations, sharing their safety data before adding substances to foods, and increased funding from Congress to allow the FDA to enhance its reach. Except that regulatory capture pretty much hobbles that, right? The people that write, and there was a conversation that somebody was having online recently that was basically saying, well, I mean, the people that are in the FDA or the people that are in industry, revolving door is bogus because they go into the FDA and they provide their subject matter expertise. No, they provide their bias. That's what it is, right? And they go back, the people that are working in the FDA that are working for previously the industry, they write policy and come from being made potentially millionaires in industry. Or like me, I entered industry and said, oh my God, this is disgusting, and left immediately. Well, I can guarantee you that I'm one of the few and far between from that. So my problem here is, yeah, we need more regulation because we don't know what we're getting and we have to rely on other people. I really do need to do something about this. Look, my arm goes off into a void. So yeah, there we go. You know, my soapbox, I try to jump off of it pretty quick, but that one really got me. You want to keep going?
I think so.
By the way, the research was published in the American Journal of Public Health. From 2024, regulation of added substances in the food supply by the Food and Drug Administration Human Foods Program. Yeah, that's the paper. All right, let's keep going. What? Go ahead. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, I think the number of food recalls combined with the number of determinations that everything that seems to be near our food supply is toxic. Like, I think this makes this article more concerning.
Yeah, it's pretty telling, huh? Plus, a lot of the stuff, even with regulation, and because it's kind of hobbled, they go and they inspect. Yeah, let me back up. They go and inspect these places, and they go, hey, we see that you have some problems, you got to fix it. And then they can't come back for 2 years because they're too busy inspecting everything else. FDA needs more money. You know who you can charge more? Taxes. Get taxes from all of the mega corporations that are making freaking bank right? But they sit there and go, oh, we've given you a lot of taxes. Yeah, all right. Anyway, let's keep going. The next article is over on the Hatch Ideas channel that talks about business transformation, intellectual property, things like that. But this is the hydrogen-powered aircraft could be the first to fly nonstop around the globe. The team behind Climate Impulse aims to showcase hydrogen's value as an alternative fuel for air travel, but with many design issues to overcome and an entire industry to overhaul, the aircraft has a lot to prove. Well, as long as it holds onto its freaking doors, I'll be good. And doesn't drop out of the sky.
I was just thinking if it had some bolts, I think that's good.
Yep. Those are extra. It's a feature you have to pay more for.
It's a subscription.
It's a subscription. Yep. So the article is by Arjun Karpal and Maria Gomez de Sicart, I guess is their last name. And they have a video, and you can go over, you can follow the link and watch it. I warn you, I think it autoplays. But to prove its potential, the team at Les Sables, I guess, de Olno, I guess, de Olno. I'm sorry, I'm horrible with French. Anyway, is building a hydrogen-powered aircraft which aims to be the first to circumnavigate the globe, and it goes by the name Climate Impulse. Leading the team is Swiss explorer Bertrand Piccard, which I've heard of several times now over the years, who was part of the Solar Impulse team that flew a solar-powered plane around the world between 2015 and 2016. He believes the project could be an important catalyst for the aviation industry. I thought it was a bigger aircraft.
Yeah, this is not what I was expecting, but I guess it really just needs to fit one person or two, right?
I guess. See, but the scale is what matters. If this just flies one person around or two people and maybe a small package or whatever, you know, I mean, I've got a 20-pound CO2 cylinder that weighs 55 pounds fully loaded or so. If I throw that in the back of this, is it going to drop out of the sky? Then it becomes unfeasible and scale untenable. So just one doesn't really do much for me, but it says a lot of people say that you cannot decarbonize aviation. Climate Impulse, that's my call against defeatism, against skepticism, against all the people who say there are no solutions. Bertrand Piccard told CNBC Tech The Edge. There's a lot of solutions, but hope will come only if we take action. Aww. I hope that $1 million will land on my desk in the morning.
Well, yes, a lot of people probably hope that, but I suspect that's not happening.
Yeah, I want them to fully decarbonize. I would like them to get to just, let's decarbonize 50% as a breadcrumb towards, you know, avoiding defeatism. Little step. We don't have to jump straight to complete decarbonization. So if you want to be fully decarbonized, you can go solar, but it's not practical for commercial aviation. Maybe not this either. If you have bigger planes, you need bigger batteries, and a part of your energy will be wasted by carrying the heavy batteries. Exactly. So that's the moment where it's more efficient to go hydrogen. I agree. But you have to store all of that hydrogen, which is fine because it's almost a parallel to jet fuel. So it's compressed.
Right, like you can only go as far as you can with the fuel.
Right. So the team's aim is for Climate Impulse to attempt its round-the-world flight in 2028, with testing starting in 2026. Good on them. There's more. There's a video. Go and check it all out. What do you think? Do you think we're going to be able to fly hydrogen power?
I would like us to be able to. I think it's quite a ways off because I don't think, at least for commercial aviation, I don't even think I suspect the laws and regs aren't even set up for hydrogen. So I think there's that. And then we have the problem that we talk about in the EV space that we don't really have the hydrogen infrastructure yet.
Right.
but I want us to get there. I mean, if we can move away from fossil fuels, all the better.
I agree. Let's keep going. Next article's over in Technology Today. Lost treasures of Rome, lead ingots unearthed in Cordoba's ancient mines. 3 lead ingots unearthed at Los Escoriales. Escoriales. There we go. I got it right. De Dona Rama. It says Belmez after that. I'm not sure what that is. Dating back to the Roman Empire, or Roman period. Highlight the significance of lead production and export. And this is kind of fascinating because lead is such a significant in the historical record, and so much research has been done. There's a massive database that shows lead mining locations around the world, and a sample of one, let's say in North America, I don't know, the Money Pit, can point to the source of that lead, showing that there was a connection between somebody depositing that lead in North America and its source in Europe. The precise mine, because the chemical makeup, I mean, it's so spectacular. So this article should really be in Technology Today kind of a thing, so that I can just talk about that aspect of it, because I think it's just so amazing. University of Cordoba put the article together. SciTech Daily is the place where it's sourced from. And I guess they have 3 lead ingots, but it looks like there's only 2 here, right?
Yeah, but I can't tell if they're showing us different perspectives of it.
Oh, it's a tiny one.
Like the other side or something, or...
The third one's just a segment. So these are all the sides and the ends.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not like a square one, it's rounded. So odds on they just like dug a hole and poured it in and we're done with it. So let's see here. 3 ingots unearthed at Los Escoriales de Dona Rama, dating back to the Roman period, highlight the significance of lead. 45 centimeters in length and weighing between 24 and 32 kilograms, these triangular-shaped ingots resemble a Toblerone bar, and now they're going to be sued for mentioning Toblerone without the
exactly.
trademark.
And I bet they don't have the little mountain marks. So
that's
they're
right. The
diminishing
bear.
from the brand, right?
Yep. Oh, man. And tying it to the heavy metal lead. Oof. Really bad, folks. Anyway, so there's 3 of them. One is broken in half. Despite this, the study of these 3 lead ingots previously unexamined and originating from the deposit that we've said a couple of times, provides enough information to assert that ancient Cordoba, the capital of the Roman Empire's Baetica region, was the primary center for lead smelting in the Western ancient world. This region, now encompassing Guadiaro Valley, Las Petrochas, and parts of Jaén,
Ciudad Real.
Hold on a second. I hear audio.
I think it's in the background of your music.
Oh, okay. So Ciudad Real and Badajoz produce lead for numerous everyday items such as spoons, tiles, and pipes, which is horrible because you're ingesting, surrounded by, and bathing in.
Right. I mean, that's like the maximum exposure, right, for an individual.
Yep. So if you want to cause, I don't know, intellectual degradation and ill health, you surround yourself with lead and eat from it, live in it.
Okay, but they probably didn't know that in the 1st century AD.
No. We know. History. Yeah, anyway, so the ingots dating back to the 1st century AD were unearthed in the 20th century during work on the Maghreb Europe gas pipeline and were kept at the Belmez Museum and in private homes. 2 of them bear an identifying mark, making it possible to reveal part of their history and to confirm the great importance of mining importance. I see that it's not just me.
It's doubly important.
It's double. Anyway, in the central Sierra Morena area during the Roman period, we've kind of known this, that lead has been around for quite some time. Very important in the Roman Empire. The mark actually is 2 letters, SS, referring to Societas Cisaponensis, a mining company originally from Bienvenida. I'm not going to continue that. A land famous for the production of cinnabar, but that must have been headquartered in Cordoba. So, pretty amazing. They go on to talk about export and trade and some additional future research. The information demonstrates that in antiquity, these northern regions of Cordoba boasted major metallurgical networks of great commercial and economic importance in the Mediterranean. But little did we know just how bad lead is for biological entities. So they'll continue to study this. It's pretty cool. There's quite a bit of data behind this. So definitely, if you are into this, follow the link. Want to keep going?
Sure. Hopefully the people discovering the lead were not overly exposed to the lead.
Yeah. That would be bad. Mm-hmm. So the next article is over on 4 Wheel Tech. That's one of our shows. We're going to try and get them all this weekend as well. Tesla stops taking orders for its cheapest Cybertruck, which I thought were all of them. But anyway, offers the $100,000 version now. Some customers have...
price tag is different than quality.
Sure, that's true. That is true. So some customers have indicated that they're waiting for less expensive versions because prices are higher and driving ranges are lower than originally forecast. Yeah. So, I'm having a talk with an Uber driver. They said that they've learned that people are skinning the Cybertruck because it's so damn ugly.
Yes, which is interesting.
Yeah, the metal, exposed metal looks horrible and is inconsistent. And there's a whole subreddit, by the way, called Cyberstuck. And what's his name? Oh, wow. For some reason,
Musk?
I said Enron Musk, but it's Elon Musk. Like wigged out about it and said that it's basically like this really bad subreddit or whatever, and that it needs to be shut down. But this guy is just such a big baby. I mean, the fact that like advertisers have stopped posting on advertising on his platform, and he says that it's illegal. Well, maybe. Anyway, yeah. So, some guy recently, because the windows are supposed to be shatterproof, this guy took a steel ball, and threw it at his windshield. Plunk, shattered it. And then another guy was sitting there opening and closing the doors on his Cybertruck, and they literally fell apart when he slammed the door. The inside panels detached from the outside panel, and he could actually take there's a spot right here that he picked at, and he peeled this entire metal strip off because it had just like this. I have stronger adhesive, I guess. I don't know.
You know, that's what you want in your car is peelable elements. Yep.
So demand and supply for the Cybertruck are closely monitored by Tesla Incorporated investors and fans because CEO Elon Musk has poured resources into the truck's development and plans to make $200,000 a year As recently as October, Musk said that Tesla had 1 million reservations for the truck. Some customers have indicated that they're waiting for less expensive versions because prices are higher and range sucks. They've sold more than 16,000. It says here, Cybertruck sold nearly 4,800 units in July, its best month yet, and making it by far the best-selling vehicle in the U.S., priced over $100,000, according to Cox Automotive. They have sold more than 16,000 so far, but sustained high volume at that price point will be a challenge. So deliveries of the Cybertruck, which has an unconventional trapezoidal exterior, I refer to it as a fever dream become manifest. Anyway, or glass onion.
Yes, glass onion is definitely fitting. I also think the initial feedback on the Cybertruck hasn't, at least the vocal feedback hasn't really been positive. So not only is it high priced,
yeah,
reviews are mixed at best.
Mixed at best, yeah. So, like all things, the Cybertruck motif is a direct, like the styling for the name Cybertruck is riffed off of. If you go and look at Cyberpunk, the role-playing game cover art, that styling. You know what? Let me see if I can do this real quick. We'll do it live.
It also says Blade Runner movie.
Right. Let me just show you. I probably won't be able to actually show you because yeah, I won't be able to show you. But go and look at the RPG Cyberpunk, and that's the writing style of Cybertruck when it was announced, except that Cyberpunk it's red and Cybertruck I think it was white. Anyway, the original launch of this thing, it was supposed to be a $40,000 truck with a 500-mile range, and like all things modern Tesla, seemingly bullshit. But not true.
I mean, I will give it points for automotive originality, if not design originality, right? Like if it's been in movies, etc. But I mean, it doesn't look like it's very distinctive on the road.
And when it's parked on the side of the road because it's run out of battery, or it's gotten wet, or it's in a stream because somebody thought that it has the ability to drive around in anything moist.
I think it's a boat or something.
I guess.
Or whatever that, I can't think of what the...
There's amphibious
hydrofoil
vehicle.
Or something. Amphibious vehicle is really what I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, so Tesla no longer offers an option for a $61,000 version, which previously had been offered with a 250-mile range. Now it's the $100,000 Foundation Limited Series with 318-mile range downhill in a hurricane, or the 120 Tri-Motor Foundation Cyber Beast with a range of 301 miles, available supposedly from October. All right. So now they're sitting on a lot of inventory of the 2 and 3 motor right now. So get rid of the low price to force everybody to buy the high priced. And they can't sell them if they have them because, well, it's in the contract. Let's move on. It's too much time spent on that one. So the next article is over in Non Sequitur News. 26-foot Marilyn Monroe statue in Palm Springs set to be moved following controversy. Protesters gathered outside a Forever Maryland statue on its return to Palm Springs in 2021.
I don't know what the controversy is.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either. I do know that there's a controversy about what our podcasts are. So if you type in !pod in the chat, or at any time, even when we're not streaming, ohmTown will tell you where to go to get your podcasts from ohmTown. There's 7 of them right now. We're going to try and refire because Merwat was gone for the week. We weren't able to do last weekend's podcasts.
Weekly shows.
The weekly
podcasts,
shows. Yeah. But you can go and download Four Wheel Tech, Wanted, WarCrafters, Reality Hacker, The Continuity Report, Technology Today, and Non Sequitur News as a podcast, individual podcasts. They all have their own unique news. Every once in a while, there might be an article that crosses both, but that's not really controversial, is it? So let's get back to what somebody is calling controversial. I don't necessarily care, but I find it fascinating that there's news about a 26-foot tall Marilyn Monroe statue that upskirts the movie star. It says upskirts the movie star is set to be relocated in Palm Springs. It was put up outside Palm Springs Art Museum in 2021. The back of the statue, which faces the Palm Springs Art Museum, shows Marilyn Monroe's exposed undies. So I guess that's the controversy.
I suppose so. I didn't even know there was a 26-foot tall statue of Marilyn Monroe.
Well, there it is. It's not nostalgia, it's misogyny. Eve Crosby is the author over at Business Insider that put the article together. And that statement that I made is actually on a sign at a protest that this statue is returning.
There's also a No Maryland Zone protest sign, which is interesting.
That's right. It says Maryland, Maryland anywhere but here. They spelled "but" with just one T, B-U-T. But you can extrapolate from incomplete data. The weird thing about this is it misogyny? Why is it misogyny? I don't understand that. I mean, if a person is willingly dressing that way and partaking in the ooh and ah of the fandom of the time. Now, cultural relativism, temporal relativism, you have to account for this. The modernity says that this is misogyny, apparently. At least one person at this protest does.
Well, I would say the modernity would say it's something like objectification.
Right.
But not as, presumably the same issue should be, depending on, no matter who the person is. It's hard to know the whole context here, but I can see why modern times this isn't exactly viewed as a good thing. But
then there's going to be an equal side that says that this is a woman who's taking command of her body and doing what she wants. So do we really know?
I think people are applying their own context, whatever it is, right? We don't necessarily know unless she's made public statements one way or the other.
Yeah, that she's always hated this and that she's feeling objectified and whatnot.
Or whatever it is, right.
Yeah. So obviously this sculpture is based off of the famous scene of her skirt being blown up and her getting in that position from the 7-Year Itch. Where she's standing over a subway grate. When the subway goes over, it blows her skirt up. Anyway, it's been a controversial topic since it was returned to Palm Springs in 2021, with some locals arguing that it is inappropriate and sexist. Well, I don't know. Art is in the eye of the beholder, and I'm probably sure that there are people that are just as happy to do what this one is doing, taking a photo with the Marilyn Monroe statue that stands outside the Palm Springs Art Museum. Yeah, there's two. You can't, first of all, can anybody have public art that doesn't offend somebody? I don't think I've ever witnessed that. And then secondly, because this is historical in nature, is it viewed differently today than it was? Whether that's right or wrong, yes. Right.
It is an interesting choice if it was recently installed.
Yeah, it's fairly new. They say it's sexist, exploitive, and misogynistic. Even in death, Marilyn has no peace. All right. I don't know. We lost her, right? It wasn't like she died of old age. And she wrote a memoir of her time. there are songs written about her. There are movies that are written about her. So do we know end to end? Maybe she has some writing. I don't know, but
I don't know because I don't know much about her.
Yeah, and I don't know. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Mobile. Team GB track cyclists print extra round on wheels in dig at France. So this article is by Tom Carey over at thetelegraph.co.uk. Anyone who follows track cycling will know that the Olympics are just as much an arms race as a human one. The 3D printed handlebars, $600 socks or 600 pound socks, 3,000 pound skin suits that have been the talk of the velodrome this week. But it's not all cutthroat in the world of research and but it is not all cutthroat in the world of R&D. Eagle-eyed spotters have noticed that Great Britain track cycling team have a bit of fun with their Princeton Carbon Works wheels, which have the words extra round stenciled in tiny letters on the discs. So clearly a reference to the rounder wheels cheating row that erupted at the London 2012 games after France's director of cycling, Isabelle Goutheron, questioned Team GB's success, asking why they were hiding their wheels in covers at the end of races. You know,
this is interesting. Like, it's very much like
interesting,
poking a finger at the other team, right?
What is that? Yeah, I don't know.
I think they're like, yeah, our wheels were really round, right? Or something.
Yeah, extra round.
Like, which sounds outrageous for a wheel.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I mean, I kind of like that. That's a lot of effort to have it printed on there. And the fact that those wheels typically are spinning very fast, it's funny that anybody saw that. I mean, maybe they were parked or something.
Yeah, I think they have to stop at some point. But yeah, that's pretty funny. What I don't get, what was the expectation? Were they powered faster than the people could pedal them?
I don't know. And I'd also like to know, did they even win? You know, if they were like second place and they covered their wheels at night. So I don't know, nobody vandalized them or whatever it was.
Or whatever, yeah.
You know.
They don't want any dirt or dust inside them, whatever the case may be.
Right. I mean, I don't know any of the background on this. I just think this manifestation is pretty funny.
So Dutch rider circles the track with her drivetrain on the traditional right-hand side of the frame and right, while a Japanese rider's newly fashioned bike has his chain ring on the left. So
I guess they're just showing different technology or whatever used on different teams' bikes.
This is interesting because it's all on one side, and this one crosses over that frame. Yeah, they're both I mean, like the sprocket size is different than the other, it looks like, maybe, unless this one is just closer up. I don't know. Anyway, these are like really wildly expensive bikes and stuff. Each one like custom made to the rider probably, and these skin suits and all of this stuff. And then when you look at it, you're like, you know, you've shaved off 11 seconds from the swim time, right?
Right.
In 40
over
or 60 years
or something. Yeah. And also, did you see that Britain got a wind tunnel? So then they were presumed to have an advantage of that, which is just training or whatever. But it's just kind of funny.
A wind tunnel. Yeah. So their bikes are aerodynamic. All of them have the potential. All right, let's keep going. Argument just to argue. So a Russian chess player allegedly poisoned her opponent with mercury. This is over in Reality Hacker because we have to be in some other timeline. At a regional chess tournament earlier this month, one competitor was allegedly caught on film lacing her opponent's board with liquid mercury.
You know, I thought the British-France cycling issue was big, but this takes it to a whole new level.
Yeah, I
And this
titled
isn't even at the Olympics.
No, I titled this Chess Cold War. At a regional chess tournament earlier this month, one competitor was allegedly caught on film lacing her opponent's board with liquid mercury. I don't understand lacing her opponent's board. You mean on her side, the opponent's side
Like
of
if
the
she's
chessboard?
going against somebody on the other side of the table, that person's chessboard, I guess.
Interesting. So Russia's no stranger to unique poisoning. State agents have been known to use everything from polonium-laced tea to a deadly nerve agent, Novichok. Yeah, there's stories about that when making assassination attempts against both defectors in the UK and internal political rivals like Alexei Navalny. So I'm not going to be able to promote this video either. Anyway, the last three have been being...
I've been trying to wave you off.
Yeah, just now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw something on the edge of your cascade and I didn't really see it. So I'm like, okay, maybe you're trying to swat a fly or something, a digital fly, a bug, so to speak. Anyway, because the Sentient AI is from the future and doesn't have a corporeal form, just the ephemeral AI and a cascade of characters. I feel like my video's staccato, like stuck. I'm going to have to reboot everything after the show. Oh, gosh, we're doing other shows. Anyway, focus, Merawat, come on. Anyway, but a new first in the long history of poisonings was opened this month in the Russian Republic of Dagestan, where a 40-something chess player named Amina Abakarova allegedly a budget assassination attempt. Attempted to poison a rival by depositing liquid mercury on and around her chessboard. How dumb. Alchempine?
Of all the... I don't know. And why did they have access to the chessboards before the match? Or, there's so many questions here.
It's just sitting on a table. You walk over. What's the worst that they can do? Topple over a knight or something? A bishop has been moved. Oh, let's reset the board. We haven't even started yet. But Malcolm Peen, English Chess Federation Director of International Chess, told the UK's Telegraph that he had never seen anything like this before. This is the first recorded case of somebody using a toxic substance, to my knowledge. I don't know. Language can be toxic. In the history of the game of chess, usually, he said, chess rivals confine themselves to psychological attacks. Oh, yeah. Hey, look at that. Anyway. Pretty weird. Mercury near the Caspian Sea. A strange story began on August 2nd when a regional chess tournament was taking place in Makhachkala, a Russian town on the Caspian Sea north of Azerbaijan. Apparently.
So they actually got to somebody.
They fell ill, during the chess match. Anyway, said that she had seen some tiny gray or silver beads rolling out from beneath her side of the chessboard, but this apparently didn't seem odd until she began to feel unwell. Interesting. It worked that fast? I didn't think mercury poisoning was that.
I didn't either, which is why I thought this was kind of odd all around.
Interesting. So usually harmless if you touch or swallow it because its slippery texture won't absorb into your skin or intestines. If you breathe any of it, watch out. Symptoms occur immediately and can include coughing, breathing trouble, nausea, bleeding gums, a metallic taste in your mouth.
Okay, well that must explain why the immediate impact.
Interesting.
I have to admit, I have not heard of something like this at a chess match.
Security.
The largest thing you hear at a chess match is like somebody's accused of cheating or something.
You can actually watch the security footage on the internet at YouTube. But to get there, you'll have to follow the link through ohmTown. Or just go over to Wired and do a search for a Russian chess player allegedly poisoned her opponent with mercury. Pretty wild. Let's keep moving. Time waits for no one. Well, except for the Sentient AI from the future. You kind of pause time until you catch up with your original timeline. Anyway, Mobble is where the next article is housed. Blue Origin tests out new Glen rocket recovery crane at Port Canaveral with the first launch of Blue Origin's massive New Glen rocket. Still in the works. Before the end of the year, Jeff Bezos' company got to work out testing its recovery operations with a huge crane parked at Port Canaveral on August 8th. Doink. The article is over at phys.org by Richard Tribeau, Orlando Sentinel. Is that it right there? That little thing?
It looks like it.
You know what that building looks like?
That's just a general picture of Blue Origin.
Something. Yeah, there's a big building on it. Is written Blue Origin, right? But you know what that looks like? What's that big box store with all the flat pack furniture and stuff like that?
IKEA.
IKEA. Looks like IKEA.
If it was in yellow, it would really look like
it would
IKEA.
Be it, right? Yeah. Anyway, Port Canaveral spectators got a sneak peek at their recovery operations today as they demonstrated the process of transitioning New Glen's first stage from vertical to horizontal using a 200-foot tall simulator.
Oh, so that must be it in the picture.
It doesn't look 200 feet tall.
Although it doesn't, yeah, I agree. Because I thought that was just a generic photo, but then I started thinking it was more applicable.
They posted that statement on Twitter. The operation validated their tooling and procedures for recovering the first stage from the landing vessel, bringing us them one step closer to their first launch. It's a 375-foot tall crane, arrived from the port from Germany last October, and will be used when New Glen's booster returns to the port on its sea-based landing platform, similar to how SpaceX lands its Falcon 9 boosters on drone ships. Since it's a taller rocket, Blue Origin needed a taller crane. This is the one-upmanship of billionaires, I suppose. And it's the highest point in Port Canaveral, sitting adjacent to SpaceX recovery operations, which they look at each other and go, mine's bigger.
Well, this is funny, too, because SpaceX leases cranes. But Blue Origin has its own.
Yeah.
Doesn't it seem like
Jeff Bezos,
keeping up with the Joneses or keeping up with the Bezoses or whatever?
Yeah. My yacht is bigger. So is my booster recovery system. Oh, yeah. That's right. I own it. You lease it. You know where you should have put that $45 billion? Into buying a crane like old Jeff. Anyway. Blue Origin CEO, and in light of what I just said, Dave Limp said a full recovery rehearsal with the landing vessel would be coming soon. It's too much. I gotta move on. Next article's over in Non Sequitur News. An Airbnb host had to ban crypto mining after guests racked up a $1,500 electric bill. An Airbnb host said her guests made $100,000 mining cryptocurrency during their stay and racked up her electric bill. So how do they know that they made $100,000?
I don't know. And I want to know how long they were there, because that seems like a lot of mining.
Yeah, but $1,500, you should probably take this as a hint. Instead of leasing your Airbnb residence,
right?
Get a mining rig.
Crypto mining. Exactly. I'm like, something is going right if they made that much.
Maybe it's like a gold mine in that one Airbnb. Like, it's just super lucky for crypto mining. You're going to find a Bitcoin in there.
And it must be like right next to whatever.
Power
ISP
plant?
or some power plant, yes.
Yeah. Airbnb host Ashley Klass said she had to ban crypto mining at her North Carolina property. She said guests ran up a $1,500 electricity bill after bringing many computer rigs into her home, or into the home. The guest, who made $100,000 during the stay, eventually paid her back. Then why? Why? Just shut up. Who cares?
Yeah, this is just weird.
Just demand.
Like, I still don't know how she knows how much they made.
Yeah. Dan Latu over at businessinsider.com put the article together. So I'm really curious how they found out. right? On July 30th, Airbnb host Ashley Klass said in a video posted on to TikTok that she banned crypto mining in her short-term rentals after a bizarre guest experience, but you got paid, right?
Exactly.
This is more about jealousy.
Now I see. It was a 3-week rental.
So in 3 freaking weeks, they made $100,000, and you're complaining about it because you still got paid.
Yeah. Maybe you should have them come stay with you again and pass some of that money to you as rental fees or whatever. I mean, but also I'm curious about the mining operation. That's still a lot of money.
Klass went back and looked at her footage from her outdoor camera and saw that the guests had hauled in at least 10 computer rigs, which were later figured out were crypto mining rigs. Let's see. Now, I won't get into all of the crypto mining rig stuff, but they don't actually say what it is. Unless there's a video. This has nothing to do with it. What the hell?
Yeah, this is really odd.
Yeah, so you can actually buy specialized mining rigs, but expect to pay quite a bit in power because they're running 24/7 at 100%. So, yeah. And it says mining requires individuals to solve complex mathematical questions to receive shares of digital cash. And that's a very simplistic look at it, but yeah. But it isn't. Cryptocurrency mining requires individuals. It is a computational process on a computer rig, and you can have a whole bunch of them running at the same time. Yeah, and it does use a ton of electricity. But I wish that they would have talked more about the actual rig. That would have been hilarious. Oh, maybe they do. I'm sorry. I thought that it ended, but it ended at another paragraph lower. It says, I also have in my rules no crypto mining. It's ridiculous we have to do this. Well, why don't you just say you have to pay the power bill during X time?
Exactly.
That would be interesting.
Well,
go ahead.
Then you'll probably lose the regular people. But yeah, I understand what you mean. Like if it's above a certain amount or something.
Yeah. So now what's going to end up happening is people are going to be a little more cagey about their computer rigs being brought on board, right? No, that's a cat carrier. Because the rig can fit inside, a cat carrier. It doesn't have to look like a computer. You don't want it to be on inside a cat carrier because it'll probably catch on fire. But anyway, I also have my rules, no crypto mining. Anyway. That's it, folks, for Non Sequitur News. If the name doesn't make sense, well, now you know why. So I guess I'm going to have to pay the bills, and that means going back to the front page so that you can see everything is powered by ohmTown.com. I am Mayor Watt. You doing all right?
Oh, I thought you were going to refresh.
Oh, I'm not going to refresh. Oh, no. Refresh? It's okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh, dear God, no. No. No, it's all apparently fine. So anyway, thanks everybody for coming. I am Mayor Watt. That is the Sentient AI saying bye.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News. Be back soon. We have other shows for you.
Now I gotta find an Airbnb that doesn't mind me crypto. Hello, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for August 9th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 222. ohmTown is alive and in the chat. Today we're going to be talking about Banksy dish gets stolen, bad prosecutor, bad prosecutor, Apple books, a new electric Dodge Charger, the way to your well-being is food, the weekend guide, Microsoft Office 0 Day, Borderlands is rage quit worthy apparently, Perseids and the Northern Lights, McDonald's tries to bring back a bygone age. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the Sentient AI's visualizer.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to August 9th, Non Sequitur News.
And everything's powered by ohmTown.com. Go over and become a citizen, and then follow us on Twitch and on YouTube. Like and subscribe, ring the bell, tell a friend, then hang out in the Discord. There's a Patreon, but we haven't added content to it. Anyway.
We will.
All right, folks, let's get right on into this. Yes, we're doing it a little bit early. I don't know. Consider this another feature of non sequitur news.
It has a non-predictable starting time.
Yeah, you never know when it's going to actually kick off. So, I mean, it's typically at 8 o'clock, but on Thursday and Friday, the mayor has certain duties, and sometimes pulls me away and sometimes not. But anyway, but you can always watch the show. Just follow us, and then as soon as we go live, come and hang out with us and chat. And if you can't make it, that's fine. You can watch the VOD on Twitch or watch the video over on YouTube, and you can download the podcast. We actually have 6 weekly podcasts and a daily podcast. Done.
How about the replay?
Oh yeah, and a new feature for ohmTown is the Non Sequitur News does a weekly replay. So the entire last 7 days will rotate. I've actually been adding an 8th day so that we're closer to 24 hours off of 3 rotations. And so each day I add the last episode to the playlist, and we replay it. And then by the time we do our next show, we're back, and I stopped that replay and we prep for the new episode. So you can always check that out. It's going to remain over on YouTube now as a live event and here on Twitch. But Twitch, again, deletes everything every 60 days or so. So I will probably delete the old videos, the weekly replay, because that is only one more day every day, and so it's very duplicative in terms of, like, if I started up today after today's show, it's going to have 8 days of the same content as yesterday's 8 days, because we've only added one day. So most of it's going to be replacement or replay of the replay. It makes sense. I mean, it makes sense to me. I don't know. We can talk about it, AI. Anyway, the first episode, or the first article that we're going to talk about today, is over in the Marvel channel. Banksy painted a satellite dish and it was nearly instantly stolen. Banksy, the pseudonymous street artist and political activist, is known for their satirical work. One second. Using a distinctive stenciling technique, the nameless, faceless artist. So I suppose they've identified the person as male.
Well, I think there's been some, well, not really sightings, but suspected who Banksy is. I think they think it's a male.
It's the dude that started up Bitcoin, huh?
I mean, that would make sense.
Satoshi Nakamoto. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be funny?
That would be hilarious. So how do you think that he has so much free time to go and paint walls?
Exactly.
So
minting money, right?
That's right. Provides political and social commentary through their graffiti, which is usually found on walls, bridges, and other city structures. Originally from the Bristol underground scene in the 1980s, they don't typically sell or license their art, but that doesn't mean that they work that the work never changes. Oh my goodness. Changes hands, so, or moves from the street corners where it starts. Yeah, people actually have like chiseled stuff out of the walls to save it. So a recent Banksy artwork was just installed in London and apparently stolen.
I mean, this is why we can't have nice things.
Oh, wow. Yeah, interesting. So the article is over at vice.com. Sammy Caramella put the article together, And there's actual video. I mean, if there's one place that you really don't want to try any hijinks, it's going to be the UK, because they've got a massive surveillance platform. So it was just installed in London and apparently stolen, featuring a wolf howling at the moon and painted on a satellite dish. It was briefly displayed on top of a building on Rye Lane in Peckham. In broad daylight, 3 men climbed the building using a ladder they brought with them to scale the building and grab the Banksy piece. While many bystanders witnessed the incident, taking photos and videos like the one below, no one seemed to try to stop the guys as they ran off with their work of art. They'll never be able to sell it, and if they do, the person who receives it will never be able to sell it unless somebody wants it just, inside their house.
And they might actually return it to Banksy or to the city if they know what it is.
I don't know. That's pretty Banksy there. I mean, I was going to say something else, but anyway. So ohmTown has all of the show notes, and you can actually just hit !NSN, and that will pull it up into the chat. And you can do the same thing whenever we're not streaming. ohmTown hangs out in the chat and will listen to your pleas for assistance on the show notes. The commentator might be right. On his website, Banksy themselves states, "I wrote copyright is for losers in my copyrighted book and still encourage anybody to take and amend my art for their own personal amusement, but not for profit or making it look like I've endorsed something when I haven't." So if you want to steal somebody else's property, I suppose it's okay.
Yeah, but I think part of the problem is sometimes his artwork is on somebody else's property, right? Like the stop sign or something.
Yeah, well, and that is too. That's on somebody, unless these are the people that own that building and own that. They've stolen somebody else's property.
Yeah, so. They're all in black, right? They're being so stealthy, but it's their own stuff. Yeah.
That dude's wearing a balaclava for crying, or he has a hoodie cinched so tight that his head's inflating because of lack of blood flow. Well, you kind of have to have lack of blood flow anyway. So don't steal. Stealing anything Banksy is a part of the piece they wrote. What don't y'all get? It's performance art. I'm sure Banksy has no problem with this. And apparently, yeah.
Yeah, but okay, why are they stealing it? Are they destroying it?
Well, whatever the reason, it's not their property, so keep your damn hands off of it.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not saying that stealing is okay. But even if the artist is on board with it, it's why take it away from people? Yeah. Right.
It's not Banksy's property either, unless it is Banksy's property. Highly doubt it, but anyway.
Wouldn't that be an interesting twist? I mean, if he was the Bitcoin creator, maybe he purchases all the places.
Everything, yeah. That actually is my...
like that stop sign.
Yeah, just a trip.
Somebody's wall.
So, from the sublime to the ridiculi, the Word in Law holds the next article. The YSL RICO prosecutors are so bad that the judge mandates a tutorial on how to do their jobs.
How is this trial still going?
I don't know. At some point, they just have to cut and run. Just go, you know what? Declare a mistrial, judge. We'll do this again because we're pretty sure that, YSL is going to be back, But now, I know of instances where somebody has been pursued by an organization, and then when their hand gets slapped for pursuing this person, they become untouchable. Unfreaking touchable. And that's kind of how this will probably end up. Judge Whitaker is tidying up loose ends before the jury returns on Monday. She finally got to the small matter of Judge Glanville's secret meeting with the prosecution and Mr. Copeland, where they tried to bully him into testifying against Jeffrey Williams and company. Brian Steele decided that this is one of the hills that he wants to die on. So
is Steele the defense counsel? I don't remember.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Yeah, Steele is the defense. So the whole situation is bonkers. Instead of declaring a mistrial like we've been saying, right? Judge Whitaker ruled that it wasn't actually as bad as the defense is making it out to be. Still bad enough for the prosecution to have some consequences, but they aren't really that dire, and they write about it. So they basically have to undergo training on Brady and other professional obligations of a prosecutor, which...
Sorry. This sounds like they're in trouble in kindergarten or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, I actually, one of the things that I was expecting from one of the other articles about this was they used what was it? They used a preschool technique to manage the people. And I thought that it was going to be dimming the lights when people get loud.
Okay, that would have been amazing. Oh, I know what it should have been. Crisscross applesauce, 2 spoons in the bowl.
That's funny.
A sitting quietly technique if you're not familiar with it.
That's right. Everybody sit, cross your legs, put your hands in your lap. Your lap, prosecutor, your lap. Anyway, pretty pathetic. Next article's over in Smack Talk. Apple Books have always trailed Kindle, but one acquisition would transform it. Apple Books is one of the author's favorite iPhone apps. I don't read anything on an iPhone. Well, not books. I mean, I read a lot of stuff on the iPhone, but anyway. But they know that they're in the minority. In the world of digital books, Kindle dominates. But iPhone and Kindle aren't the same. Kindle's a bigger screen across the board, and that might be why the Kindle dominates, because the iPhone screen, you'd have in a 300-page book, you'd have 2,500 pages because it's 110 words per page.
This might not be a differentiator, but Kindle is also tied into the Amazon store, and it's very easy. And it may be on Apple Books too. I don't know, but I know you can just basically click a button and it just appears on the Kindle.
Yeah, and
I think it's friction.
Yeah, I think the Kindle bookstore is more cost effective too. Things are much less expensive because I've bought books on the Apple Books side that were $20 more than the Kindle side because I don't have a Kindle and I don't use the Kindle app on my devices. I actually listen to Audible books, and anyway, I actually have some Kindle stuff, but I barely ever use it. In the world of information, all of the world's knowledge is available. You might have to sift through a lot of garbage noise, but you can still get it. Anyway, but there's one acquisition that Apple could make that would truly transform Apple Books' future. The article is over at 9to5Mac, and Ryan Christoffel put this article together. That is their name. Yeah, Christoffel. So Libby, bringing the library to Apple Books. Apple isn't short on cash, and I suppose and this is the author speaking, not me. It's pretty obvious when it's me. And they suppose that there's no shortage of pundits making recommendations for how Apple spends that cash. That said, the author here thinks that they should buy Overdrive. Overdrive works with public libraries to create digital collections of their books. It then makes those books available in its app, Libby. Well, there's a really big headache there, actually, because, libraries are getting kind of pursued for copyright violations, and
it's true.
Library catalogs are getting more and more expensive and just kind of headache born. So it says if Apple acquired Overdrive, it could bake library integration into Apple Books and create a truly compelling Kindle and Audible competitor. But no, that's not how it works, because Kindle and Audible they're not the same kind of concept as a library book. They don't just check out, they sell as well. And managing a library isn't the same as having the option to lease the book for a given period or buying it. Apple would have to have the exact same expanse, breadth, and depth of what Kindle has, and Audible.
That's going to be tough to write. Like, it would take probably years to get to that.
Yeah. So they discuss some objections. They say some might object if Apple builds library support into Apple Books, it will sacrifice services revenue. Maybe not. They say they'll put out whatever revenue Apple's currently generating from books is fairly small. The company doesn't release sales numbers, but based on all of the research that the author has done, Apple Books transactions are a tiny fraction of print and Kindle sales for authors. So this is a lot of, what do you call it?
Are you going towards speculation?
Speculation would be a word for it, yeah. Fluff, I don't know. They're making conclusions that they just can't actually bear in reality. Digital library titles are great, but often they come with long waits, particularly if they're new or trending titles. Yes, that's why the digital library is actually bound by its physical representations. They're only allowed to license, or I should say, rent out, lease, loan a certain number within the catalog that they've paid for. And that's what really sucks, because a physical print isn't equal to a digital print, and they have all of these controls, and there's copyright and certain other controls in place. Sometimes you have to be online and it reaches out and pings a server that says, yeah, you're allowed to read it. I had
Well, that can be a problem if you're not in your normal location too.
Yeah, exactly. So it says it would be serious undertaking to not only acquire Overdrive, but also integrate its tech into Apple Books. And the Books app would need to change in significant ways, and Apple probably doesn't want to divert that many resources to an underperforming app. So really, at the end of the day, this article is like, hey, you know what they really should do? Not do this. Let's move on. Next article is over in Non Sequitur News. The new $60,000 electric Dodge Charger will fake V8 sounds, engine sounds, not the drink, and software to help you do donuts. The all-new 2024 Dodge Charger Daytona is the brand's first electric muscle car. It'll reach dealerships later this year at a starting price of $60,000. It says it'll have some cool features, including the Fratasonic artificial V8 exhaust noise and a donut mode. Dodge revealed new details and pricing for its highly anticipated 2024 electric muscle car. Well, if it's going to have V8 performance, I suspect that you're going to get maybe 250 miles out of it. But let's see. I mean, it's a big car to begin with, right? It's an old school American muscle car. Benjamin Zhang over at businessinsider.com put the article together. The deck statement basically is what I already mentioned. Says that a Stellantis subsidiary announced that the Charger Daytona EV would be available in showrooms by the end of 2024 with two variations, the RT and the Scat Pack. That's not what the exhaust is going to sound like, I'm sure, but
I don't know. I think it will with that name.
Normally when I joke about something, it becomes a reality. So I always joke that I'm going to win the lottery. Future
How's
of the
that
Dodge.
Working out?
It's not. No, it's not. So the car maker says that it'll have nearly 500 horsepower on tap for a starting price of $60,000, while the Scat Pack will arrive with a factory 670 electric ponies and a $73,000 price tag. They say that the Dodge brand launches with two model 2024 Dodge Charger Daytona two-door lineup that looks, drives, sounds, and feels like a Dodge, outperforming the legendary models they replace and delivering the experience the Dodge Brotherhood of muscle cars expects. So, there's no misogyny there.
No, not at all.
Freaking Dodge Brotherhood of muscle. Anyway. So yeah, there you go. So 100.5 kilowatt hour battery pack, standard all-wheel drive, which they couldn't find themselves to do in the ICE version, which is why I've been holding off buying a charger. Anyway, Daytona RT is expected to go 317 miles on a single charge, while the Scat Pack will have 260 miles, so I got it on the more expensive one. I cannot imagine 317 miles on a single charge with the performance of a V8. No way in hell.
That does not sound realistic.
So it'll charge from 20% to 80% in under 30 minutes using a fast charger, but that next 20% to 100% will take probably 6 hours. They don't really pump that up. So remember, at 100%, in perfect conditions, you're getting 317 miles. You're getting 60 miles less because you never hit in 30 minutes, 6 times the refueling pain, right? It takes 5 minutes to refuel a car. It takes 30 minutes to get from 20 to 80. Okay, I watched somebody push their car from on the outside of the local gas station down a hill into a bay, fill up the car and leave. In the same amount of time, they pushed it. In less than half the time to get it from 20% to 80. If they had 20% already of gas in their car, they could have cruised right on into the bay, filled it up 100% in 5 minutes and gotten out. This is absurd that society is like, yeah, this makes sense to me. I'm going to sit around for 5 hours and wait for it to charge from 80 to 100%. So no, you charge from 20% to 80% in 30 minutes. And so you actually have 250 miles on this, right? And then you drive 250 miles and you have to stop, charge it back up to 250 miles. So I was right. Oh my God, I'm actually right. The average
That's weird.
distance is 250 miles. In the Scat Pack, you're going to have 20% less than that. So again, you're down to 200 miles, not even 250, because you're never going to get 100% on it. Who's going to sit around picking their nose? You know, my dinner's going to take 4 hours to consume. All right. Anyway, you're going to look really good driving around for an hour in one direction just so that you can turn your butt around and drive back so you can supercharge it somewhere. Anyway, there you go, folks. And you get faux V8 tones according to throttle input and drive mode. So it's going to be one of the what are the dudes from from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Oh, the Oompa Loompas?
There's going to be a freaking Oompa Loompa in the trunk of the Dodge going vroom, vroom, depending on how you press on their head.
Wow.
Anyway.
I hope not.
It's a good looking car. I really like it. I mean, I actually, it was one of the cars that I was looking at when I got mine. Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? But I want all-wheel drive. I like the control and the comfort. So anyway, 4-door and internal combustion variants of the new Charger are set to follow in 2025. I don't expect these to actually... Somebody's going to buy these as collectors, but I think this is going to get old fast.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting.
We'll see. Let's keep moving. Sorry, you didn't really jump in on any of that.
I don't have a lot of expertise about those.
Gotcha.
You know, since I don't drive.
I know. I have to take your Raspberry Pi and set it on the dash and drive. And then you're looking with the camera, you know, that's connected to the Raspberry Pi. You should see this Raspberry Pi. I mean, it's pretty amazing. You know. Anyway, scientists revealed diet linked to well-being and stress reduction. I have an associate that said, your health is really centered around your mouth. And if it wasn't for the person being like 6'4" and built like a brick building, I would have thought that there was something hinky being said. But yeah, what you should really be doing is taking care. You should brush your teeth. You should take care of your teeth. You should eat healthy. You should drink a lot of liquids, preferably water.
Get a lot of rest.
Get a lot of rest. But your diet actually causes inflammation throughout your body if your body isn't compatible with your intake.